Right here.
So you guys need to make sure it stays.
Yeah, thank you. There you go. Yeah. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. We might have a few people coming in, but we will welcome them as they come. My name is Hannah Vanderveer. I'm the director of the Knoxville Chamber of Commerce. Thank you all for coming today to this Lunch and Learn about collaboration. Just a little bit about Lunch and Learn. We do host them monthly over different business topics that really could meet the needs of anyone. We're not doing technical training or anything here, but just overarching topics that could any sort of business could see benefit from. So today we're talking all about collaboration, and that's really been one of our focuses from a chamber standpoint, is just getting the community and organizations and businesses working together a little bit. You'll see my lovely drawing up there. That's supposed to be a pie. And it's not, an exact metaphor, but it's kind of a good example of, if we think of all of ourselves as one piece of the pie at Knoxville, we can try to grow our own slice bigger, but at the end of the day, we ultimately need to grow the pie of Knoxville bigger. We need to be pulling in people from the outside. We need to be sharing resources and pulling those things to kind of do economic development. The easiest form of economic development is getting money from the outside to be spent here. So the more that we can work together and do those type of things, the better. Just a word, we are recording this live today, so that's why the computer is up in the back. If you would like to access this presentation after or send it to anyone, let me know. But back to collaboration. Like I said, we need to think of ourselves as a piece of the pie of Knoxville, but continuing to grow our slice in the pie as a whole. So I'm going to let these fine folks up here introduce themselves. It'll be pretty informal. I'll ask some questions, they'll answer, give their great examples of collaborations that they have done, and feel free to ask anything, share anything that you have in the meantime. So welcome, you can join the table. Sorry, no, you're okay. So we'll start with Tara. So why don't we start, just give us an introduction of you, your business, and the successful collaboration that you will kind of be touching on today.
My name is Kohlhaas, and my husband and I run the Wine House, which is an all-Iowa wine shop in Pella. It's been open for about 2.5 years, and Hannah got in touch with me about the wine walk that we have done. The wine walk has been going on for about 4 years in Pella. The last two, Jeremy and I kind of took it on. It's grown a lot in a good way, which I'll touch on too. So that's kind of what I'm talking about today.
I'm Rayme, and I own the Coffee Connection. My husband and I have owned it for 7 years. We're in our 8th year, and I'm kind of proud of the fact that it's a business that's been around for 17 years. Exciting. Anyway, in late 2016, I was approached by a friend actually who was doing some consulting at the hospital, and she planted an idea, and after we collaborated, we worked together, and we have a new location and a second location in Coffee Connection West.
My name is Jayson Henry. I work for an organization called The Well. We are actually a ministry work-based organization that works on serving folks that are dealing with poverty. One thing that I think is unique about us is part of our mission statement, our purpose statement, is around combining the strengths of other organizations. So we do a lot of outreach with other social service agencies, churches, businesses, whatever. We certainly believe in the equation 1 + 1 can equal 3 as we work with others.
Great. So thinking about your specific
projects, organizations, things that you have done, why did it make more sense for you to collaborate, not just with your business or organization, but to look bigger than that? So let's start with the Wine Walk.
Well, when it first started, it was a Pella Chamber, which is now called PACE. It was an event like that. So it was kind of a night where families could come out. They could have a few samples of wine from, I think, 1 or 2 local wineries, and then get some food, and which is fine. It was a good event, but it was mostly just people in Pella that came with their families. And when we kind of took it on, we had a lot of the contacts of the wineries and could get in touch with them about sending some wines, and made it more into a downtown night kind of open house event. But backstory on that is the stores in Pella were members of the PACE or the chamber, together in kind of our own little group where we meet monthly and talk about issues that we have as small business owners, or just being in the downtown. What are some ideas that we can collaborate on? So that's been really helpful too, just being able to do that. And then I kind of steered the wine walk in general, just because I know about the wine. So, but we used it as an open house. I kind of arranged, so and so's gonna go here, so and so's gonna go here. This is what you need. And then I had a couple of people behind me helping me, because it's a lot to do. And not everyone. We had 18 stops, 15 wineries this last year. So not everyone involved helped. And I guess that was fine, as long as they were willing to communicate with me, and that was what was important. Just let those that wanted to steer it, but then you'd be ready to help us out on that. So they were willing to do it. They brought people into their store that hadn't maybe been in their store before, and maybe they didn't have time to shop, but they move out the store, they had the chance to come back. And yeah, what it was before was a good thing, but I think the idea that we wanted to make kind of show people that Pella has kind of a nightlife too. I think the stores were surely on board with that.
And I will say that I attended the Wine Walk last year. It was pouring rain. We were kind of chickens. We waited it out. So we started an hour and a half late. They were expecting around 200 people.
We had glasses for 300.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. We were number 400 something in the monsoon weather. And I think the appeal of it, not only is it wine tasting, but you're traveling around from space to space. So it's like a walking tour of Pella with some sort of entertainment. The collaboration aspect really is a good deal.
What are the dates of the Wine Walk?
As far as I think it's the first Friday of October. Maybe I don't say the 4th. There's always a football game. And I was just but last year my niece got married on that weekend, and my kids were on the wedding, so I planned the whole thing. So I wanted to go here, dropped off wine, dropped off balloons, and then I left. It was the worst day, because the whole time I'm like, what's going on?
So Lori, let's talk about the coffee connection. We had kind of talked, you had thought about branching out a little bit, maybe having another place to serve coffee, but then this opportunity kind of presented itself. So why did it make sense for you to go into somewhere that was already established, rather than maybe building a new location or starting from scratch?
I think part of it was the timing. We're still in some ways, even in our age here, we're still building the coffee connection itself. And to start something from scratch, I don't know, time-wise, this is taking a lot of time in and of itself. I think the timing was part of it, just keeping your eyes and ears open. I think too, it's an opportunity to, expand our business. It's a small town, but the other side of town, it feels like we've met new people, we've gained new customers. So I think it was an opportunity to do that. But collaborating, I feel like when you put yourself together with someone else, your effort is multiplied. Two people are better than one, so two organizations are better than one. I think there's a lot of reward. We'll see more reward profitably speaking, I'm sure, over time. But the thing that I've seen so far is just the goodwill, and promoting that sense of community. We're connecting one side of town to another, but we're also connecting to organizations and business organizations, and I think that does a lot for the morale. But I just feel like we get a lot of really good feedback because we're working together.
Jayson, we do a lot of working together. So why does it make sense for the Well to work with other organizations to provide services for them?
So when the Well first started, we started as a resource center referral service. So we had somebody coming in looking for a need. If we couldn't meet that need, we would direct them somewhere else. I think what we've learned over the years is that can be a really tight connection. There's so much power in working together. I think of how many great organizations there are that are serving the same folks we are. It'll be a lot better when we're all working together and serving that person. So just getting that connection, those relationships is extremely important to us.
I was listening to a presentation you did, and the work that you do with the local churches, do you really want to touch on that aspect? I think that's really important. The people, and you went from church to church and all working together.
So one thing we notice with the folks that they serve is when you have a need, you are going to try every place you can to fill that need. And some folks kind of make a career out of it, right? So they learn how to go from place to place to place to fill a need. Part of our collaboration has been, let's work with these organizations where people are going to and allow them to refer to us. So we are kind of a central point of contact for them. So you can truly provide better care for that person and hopefully break some of the destructive cycles that they are in. But it certainly takes partnership with those organizations, right? They need to know us, they need to trust us. And the same goes for we need to know them and trust them as well. So I think that's an extremely important part of collaborating is you've got to have a great relationship with people.
So let's focus on some positive outcomes, and we'll kind of get into the things you are expecting next. But what are some of the more positive outcomes, circumstances that you've seen from your specific populations? If whoever wants to start.
So I asked Maggie and we continue to come today because I can tell you what I think the positive outcomes are from my perspective, and I can observe what I think they are from their perspective. But I thought it was interesting for them to, from the coffee connection standpoint, it has expanded our customer base, and we have an increase in regular customers. And just a lot of really good interaction with customers. I think one of the things that we've learned over time is that they love it when they can give us an idea, we run with it, and then pretty soon we've got this creation, a drink or an item of food or whatever that they're enjoying that they had a hand in. So just being able to talk more, at the kiosk, you're face to face with your customer for quite a long time. I mean, they stand there and watch me make the drinks. They're watching employees make the drinks. And, so there's a lot of opportunity there. And what was, I think, originally intended, to serve the employees in the hospital turned into a legitimate second location for us. But what do you guys think? What are you thinking?
I think the Coffee Connections has been good for the employees, but also good for the patients. Because you sometimes, for their families, sometimes you're sitting in the surgical waiting room because your family member's having surgery. A nice cup of coffee is kind of a comfort. So I think it's made what we hope is our patient experience just even a little bit better having that there.
People come to us and they don't usually want to be there. So it's kind of like that bonus at the end of an appointment or, you know, some kind of procedure. And so we hear lots of awesome feedback from patients, but the staff, you mentioned morale booster. I mean, every morning everybody's excited to slip away and get some, hopefully not all at the same time for you, but yeah, we really do. And a lot of great relationships are built around everywhere, so why not there?
And we've had a couple days where she's had staffing challenges, whether it's the weather or someone's ill, and people are just like, oh, it's closed.
Even patients. I saw a demo walk in the other day. It was money in his hand, and he looked over and he's like, "Oh no, I'm gone." So yeah.
This is kind of funny. We're in the front lobby and there's a camera. You know, and I asked someone the other day, just how much can you see back here? They can only see a certain, you know, they can't see all the way in or whatever. But I recently put up lights around the outside of the kiosk just to signal that we're on or that we're there. They're open for business when we turn the lights on. And I've had a few people say that they've been watching the camera for the night.
I wouldn't believe that. It's amazing what you see. We started doing payroll with our employees. It's amazing. I look at that because it runs through accounts payable because I see all the checks and I'm like, whoa.
So what are some positive outcomes that you have seen from the Wine Walk working with other businesses? I think one thing too that I thought of, I don't know if it's much on, just the marketing aspect. Yeah. So having so many businesses involved, right? So much more. Yeah. In this year, especially, you know, Facebook and having our visitors bureau on board with advertising was huge because we reached outside of Pella. We reached Des Moines. We had a couple people from Missouri come to this thing. So the numbers, I mean, we grew it drastically. But the cool thing, looking back at all this, is I now know all the business owners there. And you know, we have 4 or 5 clothing stores, and they're not, you know, they try not to have the same line with each other. If they do, they try to order different things, and they're working together, not just with the Wine Walk, but with other activities that we do, maybe a little smaller scale, but they can sit in a room like this and talk about things and not try to overlap or completely compete with each other. That's the cool thing about what I liked working with the group. And then, yeah, the Wine Walk was, as far as the little, the downtown group that I am, that is the biggest thing that we do with the group. Tulip Time is a whole other story. That's historical village, but yeah, it was just a good event, and I gained some practice from it. Not from the house.
You know, I think for us it's been growth. You know, as an organization, if you rewind back 4 or 5 years ago, we were seeing about 200 clients. To give you some perspective, last year we saw over 1,000 come into our office. And if you think about, there was a tornado that went through Pella. We provided tornado relief for the community. There was an additional 1,000 that came in for 4 weeks following the tornado. So we have seen tremendous growth, not only in the people that we serve, which is really what our goal is, to be able to serve more people, but the programs we do, we're doing about 7 times more programs than we were 3 years ago. And I'd say more people are involved. We have about 400 volunteers that support us. That was about 150 3 years ago. So it's just back to that whole thought of collaboration, right? Everybody can participate in making something better, and in our case, it's
So obviously you've had some positive outcomes, but there's always some things that are unexpected or a little bit difficult as well. It goes back to the school project when you're working in a team and you have maybe 1 or 2 people that don't pull their weight. So what are some things that you could touch on that you maybe weren't expecting that you learned from I'm a planner, and when you own a small business, you kind of have to be. So for this specific event, I had it all mapped out. I had a map, literally had a map. So and so is going to go here at this store, and so will go here at this store. So one store wants it late, you know, where were you in July when I started planning this thing? And within 2 weeks, you know. But I want to make everyone happy. So, so rearranging that and, you know, just being like, oh, okay. So that unexpected things are always going to come up. And we had a good thing happen that we, you know, we expected 300, we had 450. So we ran out of everything. But I learned from that. And so next year things will be, we might do pre-order tickets, might do online things so we know, you know, and have a cutoff number so we know how much wine to supply, we know how much glasses to get, all that. So it was a good problem to have, but it was an overwhelming problem. And it was raining, it was pouring, it was thundering. It's scary to think how many more people would have come. So rather than good, but now we know. Now we know kind of what's excited.
I have one kind of positive thing is actually I was surprised by how smooth it went. I mean, we did have some delays in construction, but the transition to having, you know, this new businesses in the front lobby of the hospital, I feel like they had this place just for us and we fit in pretty well. So one of the things that I'm not expecting was actually smooth. Now, Maggie mentioned I've had some scheduling challenges. There have been several days where, you know, I'm a sick person or, you know, there's nobody who can go until the shift. And this collaboration kind of came hand in hand with crazy 4 years of turnover at the coffee shop. I went the first few years of the coffee shop with hardly having any turnover. So I just laid out the list of people. I employed 44 people last year, and I thought, no wonder I kind of scrambled and crazy. It's really interesting. Who really want to work and invest. So that's been a little bit challenging. One of the things that I forget, a couple of people in the hospital actually suggested that I maybe look at some of the volunteers and either train some who can fill in or hire some. I just hired a volunteer not very long ago, but I don't think I'm going to take her away from her volunteer. I think she's going to be an extra person. Anyway, what about you guys?
Well, on our side, it was getting a schedule that seemed to work, to scheduled hours of operations. You tried numerous things, and I think where you're at now seems to be working quite well. You know, you were open for, you know, scheduled hours, what was it, 7 to 3 or something when we began, and now you're staggering them where they're open in the morning and hits everybody wants their morning coffee, like myself, and closing down for part of the early afternoon and then hitting the later hours in the afternoon. People maybe want to get something after their shifts ending or whatnot for the ride home or the commute home. So originally we thought about doing a cart, just a cart, and then the cart didn't work obviously, so we actually went to a fixed structure. And she's correct, Lori's correct. That corner is the perfect place for it because otherwise there wasn't many options that you could use that space for. So it was perfect. It was meant to be.
You know, some things I wasn't really expecting. I'll go back and talk about growth a little bit. Is just kind of people through collaboration that get visibility of what our organization is doing. That say, hey, let's go do it somewhere else. So obviously we're putting a well in Knoxville. That came out of collaboration with folks in Knoxville. It's amazing phone calls I get from people. The furthest in the state, I've had somebody reach out to me and ask if we could put a well in their community, Sioux City, Iowa. The furthest in the nation, if you can believe this, is Phoenix, Arizona. somebody came through and took a tour, was part of an event we were doing, called me the next week and said, boy, I love what you guys are doing. I can find resources down here. Would you ever consider putting that in the well? And so it would have been a winner. My answer would have been a little different. But, yeah, exactly. So it's just amazing once kind of word gets out and you're working with people, and obviously there's been good work done on the release or just the support, how much more that person.
So you kind of touched on this, Tara, about the competition aspect of it. So people, they can get put off by competition and then they be scared. Well, I can't collaborate with them because they're my competition and this will take away from my business. What's your take on that? You know, to the point, invitation, sometimes competition is invitation and invitation is the best form of flattery, actually sometimes. So I think especially in a small town Iowa, when we want people to come to our little towns, we need options. And so a couple of closely related businesses is okay. People aren't just going to come to Pella just go anywhere. One store, probably. They're going to want to walk around and spend the day around our little main streets and see what we have. And so I think competition is always going to be there unless you can talk about it and work together on a plan or just on being on the same ground with each other. But I think there's always going to be a little bit, especially if your businesses are closely related, if your projects are closely related. It's always going to be there, but I think it's a good thing in a sense.
I agree. I think we're all looking at this more than one thing to attract people to our town. I think that there's a difference, if I can split hairs, between competing against and competing with. When you think about it, we can get really lazy if we're the only one doing what we're doing. And we can also get kind of proud and in a negative way. How could anybody think that need another coffee shop on that? There was another coffee shop on that. And you know what that did for me? I was like, wow, I need to be on my toes. I need to think about what my customers want. What can serve them well and what make them want to come back. And and you can work alongside people who are in the same business, the Wine Walk. So anyway, I think that the big thing is we want to think about our community in a broader sense than just, I'm going to go do my job, do what I need to do each day, and just hope that our community thrives. We're not going to get very far, but if we think as a community at large and how our business impacts the world is in the business impact place, and we can work together and try to enjoy what we do. I don't see it as
I would love to say that competition doesn't exist in the industry, but I can't say that. I think so much of what we do, actions speak louder than words. I even thinking about putting wells in other locations, you always get little rumblings of things and your little things. And, the things I typically hear are not who we are as an organization. So it's so much of when we find the land where we're at, our actions have to match others. We just have to partner.
And that's kind of to piggyback on competition. From a chamber standpoint, we'll support all of our members, but we'll also support new businesses. Because at the end of the day, the more choices that we can have for the community, the more people that we can bring in that sense. And just like Lori said, we need to hold people accountable and make sure that we're not necessarily being lazy providing the best type of service we can. So
So just thinking about competition that way.
So one other question or thing that I hear from businesses or organizations that maybe don't interact in collaboration a whole lot is just that I don't have time mentality or application. And that really hinders some great ideas, great projects. Do you have any advice when it comes to that? Maybe you only take on one event a year or something like that. But do you have any pieces of advice for people who have that thought crossing their mind that maybe don't want to reach out and stay in there? I do my own job.
I think sort of reverse.
Yeah.
Much of it is a mindset of how we're going to step forward. We have actually built into our purpose statement that we are going to work with other people, so always front and center on our minds. I think if you take that kind of approach, you're certainly more apt to be reaching out and figuring out how do we collaborate, how do we work together. But it's got to be a priority. There's always things that prevent us from doing something, right? I always tell people, I said a little bit earlier, the number of volunteers we have, I will tell you we can take twice that many to do the amount of things we want to do. So it just comes down to prioritization, making sure we're doing what we're doing is important to us.
A long time ago when I was at home raising my kids, I was listening to the local radio stations broadcasting focus on family, and I don't remember the topic or anything, but there was a woman on there and she had a conversation with her grandmother, and the woman who was speaking was expecting maybe like her third child or something. She was telling us this conversation with her grandmother. She asked her grandmother, well, how am I going to take care of another child? How am I going to have time to do what I need to do with each one of my children? And the grandmother just smiled and said, honey, if you have one child, he takes up all of your time. And if you have 10 children, they take up all of your time. And I think that, the same is true with projects and events, but it's going to take up all of your work time to work on what is in front of you, and you can prioritize, like Jayson said, and choose what you want to work on. You can have a list of things that come later, that there's thoughts that you might be entertaining, but they're just dreams or they're just ideas. But if you just cut it off and say, I'm not thinking about that, and I don't have time for that, and you don't entertain that, I think it goes back to competition. You get pretty lazy, stuck in your own rut. And I think it's important to, at least here, I get a lot of people that like this for me. And I like entertaining them, and I'm okay with saying, it's a good idea to step away for a little bit.
Mine would be to share the wealth of what you could do is, okay, so I kind of headed this event. How about you head this event? Or you spearhead this one. I'll join you, but you can take this one on. That way, if the same person does every single event, as a volunteer, that gets tiring, that gets exhausting, and then it's not what it could be either. But yeah, you just need those people who are willing to do it and not just, have you thought about that? I have thought about it to no end, lady. You want to help me? On board. Let me know. So yeah, just find the right help that's willing to be creative and to do their share. So does anyone have any questions from the audience? Yeah, Danielle.
Okay, I'd like to ask Tara, how are the wineries selected?
They're in our store. Whether they can make the date work or not, October's a busy time for wineries doing their own fall festival. Yeah, pretty much. We kind of either, I get the number of stores that we have that are interested, and then I try to find that many wineries, a couple overlaps, and then we might try to add in more food options too. There was a lot of wine last year, so we need more food options. So I think about doing that more next year.
Okay, and then I had a question for Jayson. So what was the process? How did you make the move to Knoxville? Who'd you talk to and what did you do?
Yep,
How'd that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So imagine first, there's more than Knoxville talking to us about well. The first thing we try to do is create relationships inside that community. So we had I'm going to say an expansion team that we pulled together. That expansion team went out into the community, did interviews, tried to understand what the needs were. So the interviews would have been with churches. We talked to Hannah, talked to the chamber, we talked to businesses in town, we talked to other social service agencies, and tried to really get a picture of what is going on. Is there a need that we can be part of, we would serve inside of, that would maximize the community? And after, gosh, we did research for probably a good 2 process, then we could get to the point of making a decision so we could start planning forward.
So you started out trying to find the need, and then you saw there was a need.
Yeah.
So
We
did you have to go
started with a request. Would you put
okay.
a well in Knoxville?
Oh, okay.
And then we went and assessed, does it make sense for what we do to be placed here? And that's where we did the research for 3 months.
Or anything?
No, not really. I mean, like I said, we worked with Hannah, we worked with the churches. So think about our biggest partner that we have is going to be the churches, because we are helping serve and connect there. So I'd say a lot of our time is spent building relationships with the churches and understanding what their needs are, what programs they offer, social service agencies as well, because we want to partner with those agencies.
And where is the location going to be?
The location's on Pleasant Street, right across from the Cone Corner. We've been, it's right here.
Yeah.
We should be up and operational first part of May. They're putting flooring in the building right now, so we're getting really close. We're pretty excited about it.
Is that facility going to look like your one in Pella?
It will be very, very similar.
Like you have the farmer market and stuff.
Yeah, the size is different. So in Pella, we've got some partners that reside with us. The one thing that I would say is really nice about Knoxville is most of the partners are in the same area. So if you think a lot of the folks we serve, they're on foot most of the time. So part of the Pella is so spread out, right? To get everything kind of located in the same place was really a high value there. Here, everything's pretty close together, so we feel pretty good that we landed in a location where we can really serve the community well.
There's another question about the volunteers. How do you get volunteers? What kind of travel? What's involved in the churches and what explain that?
I think one really neat thing about volunteering for the well is there are so many different places you can plug in. We have between the ministry stuff that we do where you are face to face walking with people in their difficult stuff. Some people are super energized by that, right? Want to be part of it. Some people want to tag clothes in a thrift store. Some people love building things for a ministry called Acts. Some people love supervising people in our workshop, right? So there's lots of different ways people can plug in. We've got designers that help us do the designs on our buildings. That's how they volunteer. Volunteering for us is as simple as going out to our website, which is thewelliowa.org. We've got a volunteer page out there. Once you submit an application, someone will reach out to you and get you signed up for a training, which gives you a high-level overview of our organization. And then as part of the training process, we will find a fit for you. And really that fit comes from what you're choosing.
Hey, a question for Lori and then one for Chad.
Yeah.
Steven. So I hadn't thought of it until you'd said it, but you got a new location on the other side of town. Do you find yourself having customers that just come in off the street? And was that a surprise to you that you would be catering to first-time customers?
I was happy when the hospital And we have some of our regular customers who are, they're driving somewhere and it's quick. You can pull into a parking space that's not very far away. I mean, usually there's not a line. If there is a line, it goes fairly. It just depends on the day, I guess. But so yeah, we had hoped for that, and we're hoping and looking at how to make that even more.
I have a story to share about that. We had a gentleman come in, he parked over by the ER. I don't recommend doing this. He parked in the ER spot. He ran in and he just said, I'm just getting some coffee. I'm waiting for my daughter. And he literally went in the waiting room where you have your coffee. And he got one and he left. He's like, thanks. Oh my God. So there you go. Exactly. It was cute.
What's next, IVs or what?
Yeah. Very good coffee.
Can talk to someone in the lab.
Okay, good. It's until you said it's striking that like has to put topics about it. So
Yeah, I've reached out a little bit to a couple of the teachers at West, and then the rec center. The rec center, Angie's just waiting for me to send her a flyer or something. So yeah.
that's good. And then Janet, like you were all over social media. Like you do a great job of promoting your business and such. And it seems like you always have some kind of event or something. So what is your process in regards to knowing your customer, and you have like a number of events? Can you want to hit it or a certain
I wasn't more organized to know what we're doing. But we have a lot of fun with it. Between my husband sitting at his desk office, trying to find funny posts, and myself, we do social media a lot, and that's been the best form of advertisement for us. We're starting to see a pattern in like what times of year classes go well. Right now, it's kind of phasing out because everybody has kids starting to do baseball and soccer, and so their nights aren't free anymore. And then you can't go too far in the fall because it starts with football and basketball, and then so as far as classes, we kind of wait and then we put out a full schedule. But that's you just kind of go. You learn that as you go, and we don't have it mastered by any sense, but we're starting to see that pattern. The nice thing about social media is you can post something and then you can assign it a time to share. So if you know, like, hey, this was really funny, stay-at-home moms are like this one, post it at 9 a.m. when they're like happy with them already, we're kind of with that. So yeah, it's something like I'm not very good. I go in spurts. Sometimes I'm really good at it. Jeremy always seems to be good at it. About finding things to post, or just go back and revisit and share a post about an event that we're going to do, just keep that fresh in people's mind. You can boost posts and pay a little money on Facebook and that, and then you can kind of pick the audience that you want to send that to. We definitely did that for the Wine Walk, and that really helped.
If not, do you have any closing thoughts or any last little tidbits to add? If not, I can close out. When it comes to collaborations, if your organization or business has any type of idea and you maybe just don't know where to start, who to contact, who would fit well with this, just reach out to us on the chamber. We would love to sit down and help facilitate that a little bit, help you find your way, and then spread your wings and have your own collaborations. But as for a few events that businesses might be interested, you kind of mentioned your little retail group that meets. We're actually starting a coffee group at the chamber. So this Thursday is our first one at 8:30 to 10. So it's just a come and go at the Coffee Connection. So we will be there with a little sign on our table if you need some therapy and small business ownership, or just managing. We'll have a group of people there who go through the same thing. We're also doing a women's regional mentoring. That's also this Thursday. So we've partnered up with Women for Now, and we have panelists that will be there. Right now we have about 50 females from the three communities that will be in attendance. So it'll be a really great night of just networking and building those relationships. And then our lunch and learn in May will be touching on national stuff. So Kendra will be involved. We'll be at the Hall of Fame. It'll be similar to last year where we'll talk about what's going on during nationals, new things that you maybe need to know about. So that is in May. We'll have information come out on our website that you know. But otherwise, thank you all for coming. If you have any additional questions, feel free to stick around. But look for more chamber activities on our website. Thank you. A couple questions.
Hey, Josh, how you doing? Where are you now?
I am right now just sort of doing a couple of things. I'm doing some freelance work, freelance writing, and I'm also I have been doing work for renovation of the new place. So I've been able to talk about to finance but looking for some opportunities. It's sort of web content. It's with I couldn't say sort of it is. It's a project through